I had not planned to record an episode today, but something happened to me this weekend that I really wanted to share with you. And it got me thinking about change and how many people say they're not good at change, and how that is absolutely not true, because to be human is to constantly deal with change. And to share with you some of the core mindset shifts to help you be brilliant at change, because you're already really good at it, but you can get better and you can stop hating it so much. So let me tell you what happened. And you might have seen me share this on socials. I gave a keynote last weekend at the World Happiness Summit in Miami. And it was the first time that I was delivering my brand new keynote on the reinventable mindset. And the whole kind of core point of the keynote is that when we embrace change as a catalyst to help us grow into the best version of ourselves, that is when we really thrive through change. It's actually when we feel a deeper sense of fulfillment, we struggle less. And I had planned this really exciting element at the end of the keynote. I created a custom painting, and I would reveal it at the end of the keynote and kind of this dramatic close, because the whole point at the end is when you have the courage to grow through change, when you have the courage to use change as a way to uncover more of your unique dimensions, to do things that may be calling to you, that's how you uncover your inner masterpiece. And there I would reveal the keynote. So I painted this painting and we sent it down to Miami way ahead of time. And we could track it, we could see where it was. Fantastic. Everything was going just fine. You probably know where this is going, because we get to Miami on Thursday, 2 days before my keynote. And in the hotel room, my husband, Avi, looks at his phone. He looks up at me and he's just completely white in the face. And he says, the painting will not get here on time. And I my whole, my stomach, just like that feeling, like your stomach drops. Somehow UPS had missorted the painting. It was in a different container. It was not going to Miami. It was going somewhere else. And there was no way they could get it rerouted in time. And then what happened really surprised me, because I did not get angry. I did not spin out into, oh my God, how could this happen? Why is this happening to me? Why is the world out to get me? I did not find a way to blame Avi for this. And this surprised me, because these are all things I would have done a few years ago. But I didn't do any of them. Instead, I sat on the bed, I took out my phone, and I started looking for art stores nearby, because the only thing that I could now do was to paint another painting. I had 2 days, and I was just going to find an art store and get supplies and find a way to paint it. And just to give you the rest of the story, I finished another painting. We had a painting for the keynote. The reveal went great. The keynote was great. I was really excited at the way it resonated, because it was kind of new material for me. And I actually like the second painting better, because I couldn't focus on making it perfect. I just painted because I needed to create a painting. And so I was freer, less constrained. So it all worked out. But the reason I'm sharing the story is less about the outcome and more about the mindset shifts that I made, so that instead of getting really annoyed, angry, frustrated, all justifiable emotions, I mean, this was a really big deal. And instead, I really embraced the moment. I embraced the change, and it allowed me to create another painting and to have a great keynote, and to not be a cyclone of stress in the process, which is, again, something I would do a few years ago. So what is it? What did I do? What were the mindset shifts I made? Well, one of the ways I'm thinking about what happened is I practice what I teach. I practice some of the core elements of what I call a reinventable mindset, right? And reinventable mindset, or reinventability, is just this dynamic ability that we all have, that you have, to grow through change, to evolve into your highest potential. But we do have to practice it. And so I think the universe just wanted to really make sure that I mean what I teach, by putting me in that situation where I had to embrace that very challenging change. So I want to share with you kind of the reinventable mindset, the whole keynote. I'm not going to give you the whole keynote. It has these 5 core elements. I want to share with you 3 that I think I practiced and that were so powerful and that helped me really like do the thing that was calling to me and actually honor the moment and embrace the change instead of really like losing this opportunity or, maybe removing that element from my keynote. And the number one mindset shift, and this is all people who I know who are really great at change, who are always, and those people in your life too. It's not that their life is easy, but they always thrive through challenges. And the number one mindset that people like that have is that they focus on possibilities instead of obstacles. And this is something that I really want you to take to heart. And this is something that I am really proud that I did, because there were many obstacles, right? Like I didn't have any supplies. I didn't actually have a lot of time. I didn't mention this detail, but the next day I was scheduled for an all-day filming session with my video team because we were creating content for my new speaker reel about my new keynote. So I didn't have time. I didn't have my supplies. I definitely could have focused all my attention on the obstacles, but I didn't. I just asked myself, like, this is what's happening. This is my new reality. What is possible? And this mindset shift is so powerful because your brain will focus on whatever it is you tell your brain to focus on. Your brain has this part in it. It's called the reticular activating system. Don't worry, you don't have to remember this. RAS. It's kind of like the bouncer for your brain. It decides what you pay attention to and what you don't. And so it's kind of like, if you decide, okay, I want to buy a blue car, you start seeing blue cars everywhere. That's your RAS at work. You told your brain what you want to focus on, and it's finding it for you. And so when you're presented with a change or uncertainty or a challenge, the natural inclination of your brain hates change, right? Change means uncertainty. Your brain just wants to keep you safe. So it immediately starts to think about what's wrong. What are the obstacles? What could go wrong? How could this be bad for me? So you want to actively shift your mindset. You want to actively instead ask yourself and direct your brain and say, what is possible? What are possible paths that I do have? How could this change be opening up new opportunities for me that maybe I hadn't considered, right? So by actively telling your brain where to focus, you actually find more opportunities, more possibilities. If you focus your attention on what's wrong, what's annoying, what's frustrating, what isn't working, what is bad, your brain is going to find more of that. And so the core, and this is so important when you're going through change or facing a challenge, always direct your brain, always ask yourself, what is possible? How is this good for me? What are paths that could be opening up as a result of this challenge or this change that maybe weren't open for me before? The second mindset shift that I practice that I want you to really internalize is to act to learn instead of to act to create to like create perfection, right? So I found an art store. I got a canvas that they had. I got some paints. They didn't have my favorite paints. They didn't have my favorite brushes. It didn't matter. I just said, okay, I'm just going to figure out how to make this other painting instead of saying I'm going to make a perfect painting. And here's the kicker. When you're going through change, there's this tendency that we all have to like find the perfect path forward, right? Because it's understandable. Like we want some sense of control. So we want to we tend to overthink things, right? Overplan. You want to analyze everything, right? Are you nodding? Do you do this, right? You just you want to consider every possibility. And that's really overwhelming. And also, newsflash, things are changing. There is no perfect path. It doesn't exist. By definition, you cannot plan things out because things are new. And that overthinking and overanalyzing, it can just leave us paralyzed, right? And overwhelmed. So instead, act to learn. So instead, ask yourself, okay, what are some steps that I could take to learn as much as I can about a new path forward, right? So my steps were, I found an art store, I got some supplies. We didn't have an easel. So we actually concocted this thing. My video guys helped me. We attached the canvas to one of the, I forget what it's called, one of the stands for the lights, with clips. So, but we just took action, right? I didn't have a perfect plan. It wasn't possible, but actually something beautiful emerged. And one of the core things I just want you to take in is clarity emerges from action. We think that we can plan our way through. We think that we can think of every detail, but it's not possible, because with every step you take, something shifts. You are now a different person having taken that step. You've learned something new. You can adjust from there. There's no, with the exception of like life or death decisions in life, no decision is final. If you take a step in a certain direction and it's not quite where you want to go, you can adjust from there. So really think about that when you're handling a challenge or things are uncertain, and you might be falling into this trap of overthinking and trying to plan it all out, and you can't move forward if you don't have a plan. Just act to learn. Take steps with the goal of learning as much as you can, and you create the path, because again, clarity emerges through action. There is no perfect path. You are going to create the path as you take the steps. And the final thing, the final mindset shift that I practice, that I really want to encourage you to practice, because it's going to help you really embrace change instead of being frustrated, is to actually embrace the discomfort. When we feel difficult emotions, we tend to have a tendency to kind of try to not feel them, right? Sweep them under, because I know for me, I used to have this fear, like if I allow myself to feel frustrated, if I allow myself to feel sad, I'll just be stuck in it forever. And change and challenge definitely comes with all kinds of uncomfortable emotions, and fear and doubt and worry and frustration and anxiety, just like when I found out my painting was lost. But instead of trying to sweep those emotions away, the better path forward is to really embrace the discomfort. First of all, to allow yourself to feel what you feel. I felt frustrated. I felt annoyed that I had to do it again. And I allowed myself to feel that. But there's a difference between feeling an emotion and constantly keeping yourself trapped in it, right? So I felt my stress, I felt my frustration. And then I was like, okay, now I'm shifting into, okay, what's possible? What are the steps can I take? And so it's really important to allow yourself to actually acknowledge the discomfort that you're feeling. And, research shows that when we acknowledge our difficult emotions, we feel them for a shorter amount of time and with less intensity. So acknowledge the discomfort. But then the other important part about really embracing the discomfort is to expect it, to recognize that when there's change and uncertainty, you're going to feel uncomfortable. And so when you feel uncomfortable, you want to like literally say to yourself, yes, this is how I'm supposed to feel, because my brain is adapting. I'm learning new things. I have to evolve, and that's uncomfortable. Take it as a sign that you are growing, instead of feeling uncomfortable and saying, oh, I'm doing something wrong. Oh, I'm moving in the wrong direction. Oh, I better back off. And so when you expect to feel uncomfortable, and when you feel uncomfortable, you allow yourself to feel the feeling, and you take it as a sign that, yeah, I'm growing, I'm adapting, I'm evolving. It actually helps your brain get better at change. It increases your working memory, increases your motivation when you embrace the discomfort, when you see discomfort as a sign that you're growing. And these are the 3 mindset shifts that make you great at change. They make you not just more resilient, because I think that we can do more than just be resilient. They actually help you use change as a catalyst to help you grow into a fuller expression of yourself, into a better version of yourself. What happened to me, the painting going missing, they found it, by the way, they found it, and it's on its way back to Boston. So that's good news. But when you really embrace, like what happened to me, that's what I was trying to say, I lost my train of thought. I feel like I've really grown from this experience. I have so much more self-trust. Like whatever, like I'm kind of ready for it. Like if I can make a last minute painting for a keynote in a hotel room, I can do lots of things. And I feel like I've really grown from this experience. I feel like I have more confidence in myself that I can sort of turn on a dime. I feel like I also got better as a speaker because I shared the story on stage, and it was like the audience really resonated with it because it was really authentic. So when you adopt this reinventable mindset, when you make these mindset shifts to focus on what's possible instead of focusing on the obstacles, to act to learn instead of trying to find the perfect path or overthink every detail, to embrace the discomfort as a sign that you're growing versus as a sign that you're doing something wrong, you don't just handle change better. You don't just tolerate it better. You don't just become great at change. You actually grow into a better version of yourself. You feel more confident. You have a greater sense of self-trust. And that's kind of awesome, don't you think? And so I wanted to share this with you while it was fresh for me in my mind, because this literally just happened a couple of days ago. And I know we're all going through a lot of change now and a lot of challenges. And so I hope that you take this and you actively practice these mindset shifts, and that you recognize that you have this ability. You are reinventable. You have the ability to grow through change and uncover more dimensions of yourself as part of it. It just takes some practice. That's all I have for today. As always, thank you for sharing some of your heart and your mind with me. I always love hearing from you. Shoot me an email to Nataly, Nataly @happier.com with your thoughts, with what resonates, ideas for next episodes you'd like me to do. And other than that, I will be in your ear, as I like to say, and see you if you're watching this on YouTube next week. Have an awesome, awesome rest of your week. Take care.